welcome to all the participants and our distinguished speaker for today, Apurva Yatindra. Sama Audit Systems and Software Private Limited is pleased to bring this 47th webinar in the Analytics Wednesday series. Today's topic is analytics in the telecommunications sector, and we have a distinguished speaker who's par excellence, in that particular area of analytics and telecommunications and automation. Before I introduce him formally, let me just give you a background that Sama Audit is into providing solutions. Of course, the flagship product, Idea Analytics, the continuous control monitoring product, LSA from London, the Caseware working papers, end-to-end solutions for the CPA, CA firms in the country, ETL for SAP, Smart Exporter, and of course, the consulting focus to bring many automation solutions to the client. It is a firm belief of the company that we should have everybody come onto the platform and share, because there's so many things to be done, so many things to really go on a journey and keep on implementing things, automation, as the world is going very swiftly forward. So with that emphasis, we are bringing everybody together to ensure to come on the platform and share their insights, their learnings, their experiences with everyone in the platform. So we have a lot of people who are live today on the Zoom platform and on YouTube, and this will be, of course, posted on the Sama YouTube channel. So with that, again, a warm welcome to all the participants and to our speaker, and I'll formally introduce the speaker, Apurva Yatindra, to all of us here. Apurva Yatindra, of course, is a chartered accountant, a certified information systems auditor. He is part of the leadership team of the business risk management vertical at ANB, has more than 18 years of experience in internal audits consulting and the risk advisory services. He heads the telecom vertical at ANB and services clients across 25 plus countries in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa. He handles more than 95 experts in ANB and manages client relationships for leading telecom service providers, and it's a big list, Bharti, Airtel, MTN, Vodafone Idea, Du, Etisalat, Tata Teleservices, Indus Towers, Batalco, Telenor, Aircel, and many more. So he also leads ANB's, which is important, automation initiatives, and is actively involved in development of the governance through robotics platform that helps in audit automation. He has conceptualized and led initiatives and development of several niche industry-specific automated continuous auditing tools, actively engages with the telecom regulator for standard setting, engaged with TRAI in implementation of standard for ensuring accuracy of metering and billing by telecom operators. I think that's the bread and butter. That's the structure. That's the skeleton. So for every telecom operator. So he has led teams to audit its implementation at Bharti Airtel, Reliance Communication, Vodafone, and many other telecom giants. And in his previous role in BFSI and manufacturing verticals, he has managed client relationships for multiple clients, top-notch clients like Credit Suisse, Wipro. I think we have circulated a list to everyone. It's a big list. So with such a young age and such a lot of credentials, Apurva, over to you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for that elongated introduction, Deepji. And also big thank you for having me present on this platform today. Absolute pleasure for me to be able to present today. So if I can just share my screen.
Yeah, you're the host, so you can just share the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can just confirm if the presentation is on and visible, Deepji?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll try and talk about how an analytics program can be structured, for telecom organizations as they exist today. Now before I thought we get into details on the analytics, probably good to just get a sense of how exactly do telecom companies stand today, and what exactly it is that they're doing today. So, traditionally, as we understand, telecom organizations have been providing mobile services, have been providing data services, landline connections, and that's been the core telecom business. But today, what a typical telecom organization does is far more. If we were to look at, let's say, like an Airtel, Obviously, the core mobile services and the landline and the data services, those continue to be the core and the base of the work that they do. But apart from that, they have a full-fledged enterprise services vertical, that is looking at providing connectivity and voice and various other solutions to different large and government organizations, as well as SME enterprises. They also have an extensive DTH platform, for dish antenna services, for television, services, etc. That's a big part of the work that they do. They used to have an Airtel Money platform that was a mobile money service, which is now got a payment banking license, and they operate a full-fledged payments bank. They also now have what is known as an Airtel Labs, which is basically actively working on developing different use cases for 5G services. As they're going to be launching in the country maybe sometime next year. They also operate a couple of very, very popular apps. Wynk Music, as a lot of us here and maybe outside as well, would probably be using these apps. This is a music streaming app, and one of the leading apps in India. Similarly, there's an Airtel Extreme app, which is also one of the leading movie and video apps in the country. And finally, there is obviously they run an entity called Bharti Infratel, which has now been merged into Indus Towers. That's a full-fledged entity that is, offering TowerCo services across telecom tower and passive infrastructure services. Similarly, if we were to look at the biggest operator by subscriber numbers and revenue today, which is Jio. They also obviously offer all the traditional mobile services. They have Jio Fiber, which is their broadband, services arm, and also does the direct-to-home television broadcasting as well. They also have a Jio Business Solutions vertical. They have a Jio Cloud vertical, which is offering different cloud-based solutions. They operate a Jio TV app, again similar to the Airtel Xstream, where all kinds of movie streaming and television channel viewing, etc., can be done. And then also they own what is known as the Savan app, which is also a music streaming app. Similarly, if one were to look at Vodafone in India as well, Vodafone Idea, the merged entity, they also have a big, large business enterprise services vertical. The M-Pesa service, which is the mobile money service that has been discontinued in India now, which they were operating till about a couple of years back. They also run a GigaNet and a U broadband service for home and enterprise internet. And similarly, they also have a stake in the Indus Towers entity, which is offering passive infrastructure and telecom tower services. Truly, this is one sector that is really undergoing a lot of transformation every single day. A telecom organization looks very, very different today from what it looked yesterday. And given the advent of 5G and all the transformational impact that's going to bring about to the entire world, the telecom organization of tomorrow is going to look significantly different from what it looks today. So very, very complex sector, very, very, widespread of services by the sector, and big spread of the work that is being handled by the sector. It's no longer the traditional services that were being done. So just to again give you a sense of how a telecom company is structured today. So obviously you have the traditional finance vertical, which is doing a lot of business finance activities, apart from the accounting and the treasury and the funding, etc. They're actively engaged in evaluating different plans that are going into the market, performance evaluation and management of all of those of all products and tariff plans. So a big, strong part of the work that they do. Sales and distribution obviously becomes very, very important in a telco setup, because traditionally they've looked at themselves as FMCG organizations that are really ensuring availability of SIM cards across every nook and corner of the country. And marketing, obviously, big media spenders. It's one of the biggest sectors that does spending, media spend, across industries. Customer service obviously becomes extremely important. So that's a dedicated function in the organization focused on customer excellence and providing service. Network is obviously a very core telecom function, where all the capex and the huge spends, etc., are involved. They're responsible for maintaining the entire, network and upgrades to the network, and basically ensuring that all of us, are able to use our mobiles and our data connectivity, etc. Very interesting on the IT side, apart from the traditional IT services and IT infrastructure, application management, and data center management, security, and the rest of the IT services. There is a huge IT engineering organization now in practically every telecom organization. They're actively engaged in developing niche products for their organizations. Very actively involved in building different use case scenarios for 5G use cases. So very big, large teams in every telecom organization, from an engineering standpoint. As we all know, this is one of the very heavily regulated sectors. So every telecom organization has a big regulatory team that looks at interaction and engagement with different regulators, and obviously also ensuring internal compliances with different compliance requirements. And then obviously the human resource function, which is practically there in every organization. So this is typically how a telecom setup is structured here. Now, just to talk about some of the key challenges when it comes to looking at analytics, for a telecom organization. I think all of us will appreciate that the one big differentiator in when it comes to this industry sector as compared to all of the others is just the sheer volumes involved, right? So if we were to look at just India as an example, the customer base across all the 2.5, 3 operators that exist today would be almost about 1100, 1200 million. So you can imagine with this kind of a customer base, what's the call records that will be generated every single day, what's the volume of the data usage that will be generated every single day. So we are one of the highest data consuming countries in the world. So every month we would consume about 14 GB worth of data consumption per person, for example. So a big, huge volume of data involved. You can imagine the number of customers getting onboarded, the number of KYC validation that needs to be done. It's a sector that, at least in India, has undergone a huge amount of hyper competition, because of which there has been significant amount of customer churn in a few organizations. There has been huge amount of customer onboarding in a few organizations. So just the level of data that an analytics setup has to deal with is just a different scale here completely. I spoke about the large number of businesses that a telecom company is handling today. So you can appreciate the level of complexity that brings in. There are all different businesses. Each has its own nuances. Each has its own risks. The level of monitoring that is required to be done for every business is obviously different. There's large spread of systems that each of these businesses is using, because they are niche businesses. Obviously, different kinds of systems required for each of the businesses. There are so many critical processes that run on the fly here. So unlike a lot of the other businesses, for example, your prepaid 95% plus of telecom subscribers work on prepaid model today. So there is online charging that is happening. So any incorrect configuration, and the customer has been incorrectly charged, either undercharged or overcharged, and there's no way that you can go back and recover that money from the customer. So the level of scrutiny and the level of accuracy that demands is obviously different completely. Now, very dynamic in terms of regulatory environment. This is a sector that where the regulator is extremely active, and when I say active, very detailed, very niche, very involved in a lot of nitty-gritty. It's not a light touch sort of regulatory environment. Every process is basically touched by different regulations, and any analytics program will basically have to keep this in mind and ensure that all elements of regulatory compliance are met And because it is so dynamic, the regulations are changing so frequently. There is now a whole host of new stuff that is going to come in with 5G, etc., coming in. Very, very complex from an analytics standpoint. And then again, some of the processes here are very niche and very sector specific. You can appreciate the level. I'm talking about organizations where have on a monthly basis where there is about 10 million customers being acquired every month. So the level of KYC validation that needs to be done. So from an audit function standpoint, what level of assurance are you going to be able to provide on accuracy of customer KYC with a 10 million customer acquisition happening every month? So you will have to look at niche techniques to be able to do that. You have network spend as one of the significant spends, for a telco. Now, for this, there are complex agreements with different, tower companies and partners. Now, these agreements, while it may sound like just leasing of a telecom infrastructure, there are about 80 to 90 parameters that impact how one single tower has to be built. Very again, very, very difficult to cover from a standalone analytical platform. Revenue assurance becomes a very, very important part of analytics in a telecom environment. I spoke about the amount of call records that are getting generated, the amount of data usage, etc., that's happening, and all of this is happening on prepaid charging. The moment that a call is happening or data is being used, there's balance that is getting deducted. So if you go wrong, the money is lost forever. So that's some of the key complexities and challenges, when it comes to doing analytics, for a telco. So how is it that, it's imperative that if there has to be an effective analytics program in this kind of environment, there has to be a seamlessness of approach. So you cannot operate in silos. So data collection, the execution of the analytics, the reporting of the exceptions, and then finally close looping of those of the output that is coming in. You have I've spoken about the spread of the work that's happening. So you can imagine the number of exceptions that are going to get churned out by different analytics that we are doing on different controls. How do you eventually close loop those exceptions? To translate them into some kind of meaningful, reportable observations, or some kind of meaningful management reporting. So unless you're able to have all of these four streams working seamlessly on one single platform, so as to speak, it's very difficult for an analytics program to be effective in a telecom environment. When I talk about data collection, the data has. I've spoken about the volume of data that we're dealing with here. Data is coming in from multiple different systems. So if you don't have automation there for data collection, it becomes very difficult to operate analytics program out at this scale. Similarly, I did touch briefly upon the level of complexity in some of the validations that are going to be done here. So unless your analytical platform is not scaled up or capable enough of handling the complex validation scenarios, again, very, very difficult for the analytics program to be effective. And then similarly, if you're going to take all of that output and manually write reports, or manually use a third-party system, different systems are available in the market today for doing the visualization and the dashboarding. Again, that's a huge and humongous task by itself, and becomes a separate activity by itself. And then obviously I did speak about the closed looping of the exceptions as well. So for an analytics program to be really to really work well in a telecom environment, all of these 3-4 streams have to work on a as a unified approach. So like I explained, I've already touched upon this. The data collection has to happen through bots. The analytics has to be executed by the bots, and the reporting and the case management also has to happen through some kind of automation, whether it is bots or whether it is any other mechanism. Obviously, there are different platforms in the market today that do this. But unless all of this is happening through unassisted automation. It's very difficult for this to be really impactful and effective here. So just to touch upon, how does one go about building an analytics program? And, this could be true of any industry and maybe not just telecom. Obviously, the first step would be there to prioritization of controls. What are the top risks and the top controls that you want to that everyone feels are worthy of monitoring on an ongoing basis. Obviously understanding the whole process around it and the nature of exceptions and the tests that need to be done, nature of validations that need to be done to monitor those controls. Then obviously you get down to identifying or pinning down the frequency at which you want to monitor each control. So depending upon criticality, some you may want to monitor on a daily or a weekly or a fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, etc. basis. So that frequency needs to be set. Because the whole automation would and the schedulers would basically work on that frequency. Then obviously you get down to system mapping and data source mapping, because like I explained earlier, if you're not working on an automated data extraction model, there is no way that a manual data extraction and upload program is going to work in this setup. Rule building and elimination of false positives. So we strongly recommend to a lot of our clients that at the implementation stage itself, it's very important that one goes through at least 3 or 4 rounds of iterations of validation for each control, and it's at that stage that you eliminate as much of the false positives as possible, so that you make sure that there is very, very limited manual intervention involved when it comes to dealing with the output that is coming out from any kind of analytical validations. And then finally, the dashboarding and the reporting. Again, I did touch upon this in the earlier slide as well. We've got to be able to, the platform that we use or the way that we structure the analytics program, the reporting and the dashboarding of the exceptions has got to come out from the systems itself, because otherwise then you're getting into multiple platform, one platform to the other for reporting and dashboarding. And then finally, obviously, the integration of the exception reporting and case management, so that you're able to integrate the whole analytics program into your mainstream audit reporting. Otherwise, you'll just be churning out exceptions of different analytics and control monitoring and not really be able to report this as part of your overall reporting program. So this is slightly technical and slightly very sector specific in terms of some of the key controls that need to be monitored in each function. So maybe I'll not go into too many details, but just touch upon it briefly. So sales and distribution, like I mentioned initially, this becomes a very, very important function in a telecom organization. It's along with network OPEX spends. This is probably one of the big annual recurring spends that every telco incurs. The customer acquisition spend. So, every time that you acquire a customer, you pay a commission to the retailer and the distributor involved as part of the customer acquisition. Now, in the case of postpaid customers, generally there is, a program or a scheme where if a customer churns out, you are able to recover or claw back the commission from the customer. But in the case of prepaid customer acquisitions, normally by market practice, there is no recovery of a commission in case of a poor acquisition. So monitoring of the quality of acquisition and the analytics around that becomes very, very important from an internal audit monitoring standpoint. There is very detailed analytics on for every single customer, what's the kind of revenues that they are generating post acquisition. In case there are poor quality of customers coming in, are they coming in from specific retailer pockets? Are they coming in from specific geographical pockets? And then based on that input, is there enough action and consequence management being done to discourage any kind of inappropriate market practice, market acquisition practices, customer acquisition practices. Then obviously a big part of sales and distribution reviews comes from mystery shopping, going down into into different retailer markets, visiting retailers, understanding what the genuine issues on the ground, picking up different trends from there, collating this into some kind of analytics program and trying to make sense of whether the actual data points in different processes talk to different pointers that one picks up as part of these field visits and the field reviews. Then distribution infrastructure. So again, very, very important. What's the network coverage in different population pockets? How that is being monitored? What's the retailer coverage for each of these for each of the population pockets? So there for every size of population, there should be certain number of retailers. How is it that those retailers are getting serviced by company representatives and sales representatives? So there is a whole analytics monitoring around all of that, whether that is happening appropriately, not happening appropriately, how that is being tracked. And as part of audit reporting, one really comments on all of these as well. From an enterprise customer acquisition, lead management, lead conversion, monitoring of lead closure across different acquisition channels, that becomes a very important part of of a sales and distribution related analytics. Yeah. So some key items here. If I were just, again, I have touched on a few of these. Target setting, for example, becomes very, very important. How is it that targets are being set for different retailers and for different distributors? Because their entire commission construct and the commission payout is linked to how these targets are done. So, there's a lot of detailed analytics that are done on how people have achieved targets over a trending of target achievement over the previous months, basis which how are revised targets, etc. set. The whole commission computation and payout. So as per every month there are different commission and incentive schemes that are rolled out by the organizations. How those schemes have actually been, how the commission is actually being calculated, and how those incentive payouts have happened, whether they are in line with the schemes or not. So these are some of the key analytics from a sales and distribution standpoint. Similarly, customer service, like I said, that becomes very, very important. So trying to look at, what are the different kinds of complaints that are coming into the organization? Are there repeat complaints, similar complaints coming in repeatedly? Those can be picked up by analytics, obviously. What's the kind of root causing that is done? What's the kind of systemic action that is taken? Are the complaints resolved within time or not? So those become very important. Waivers and adjustments, being a primarily prepaid centric market, you have a lot of people calling in and talking about billing issues or, different quality issues. And sometimes, operators do end up giving waivers and paying refunds, etc. So, how is it that those refunds are being processed? Is there adequate governance around those refunds? Is there, let's say, for example, splitting of the refund posting to avoid a certain level of approval? Is the approval for the waiver being done in accordance with, let's say, the delegation of authority? Is there enough governance and approval around, all of those? Similarly, from a collection standpoint, posting of collections payments from an enterprise customer or postpaid customers, that becomes very important. It's a very, very fraud-prone area, where people park the payments to suspense accounts, and then, you can just keep rotating it and managing credit limits for different customers. So again, from an analytics standpoint, this becomes a key area to look at. Customer churn I spoke about is very, very high in this sector, or traditionally has been very high. So, how is churn management being done, being managed? What kind of offers? So typically, these companies will have, telecom organizations have programs, counter offers that you give to anybody who wants to churn out of the system. So whether the right people have got the right offers, whether the right offer has been given to the correct customer segment, and whether that offer has been applied correctly or not, or is there some kind of wastage that's happening there? So that kind of monitoring can all be achieved from detailed analytics. Similarly, call center operations obviously becomes a big part. So the whole monitoring of what's the level of calls that are coming into the network, and any calls that are lost between the network and the IVR, then between the IVR and the agent, are there any calls that are lost? So that whole reconciliation and and monitoring can be, is typically done through the analytics. Abrupt call disconnection by agents. Every agent and every call center partner, for example, they have to follow a certain average call handling time. So that becomes a very important KPI to monitor. So to manage that average handling time, are they abruptly disconnecting calls? That becomes an important metric leading to customer dissatisfaction. From a cross-selling standpoint, sometimes one of that's also a key KPI for some of the call center agents. So how is it that tracking of sales conversion and cross-selling, etc., is happening? So again, very few examples. Of the screen has typically most of the coverage that would happen for a call center. I'm just focusing on a few analytics that become very important. Social media management obviously becomes very, very important. I've spoken about the large volume of customers that are involved. Typically, there is dissatisfaction, and a lot of people get onto Facebook and Twitter and different other social media channels and start venting out their frustrations. So from a brand management and a customer satisfaction standpoint, managing that becomes very important. So what kind of what's the volume of content that's being posted by different people on the websites, on different social media channels? Does the company really have a mechanism of picking those up and actually converting those into formal complaints in their systems? And how is it that those eventually then get resolved and closed loop? So this is something that gets monitored through detailed analytics. Compliance becomes very, very important here. So KYC, I've spoken about, large customer base, and it's a given, the security angle involved with KYC compliance in a telco setup. There's been a lot of, terrorism related incidents, which then get tracked back to, if you want to identify, the identity of a person, etc. That's where, you get into a lot of trouble if you're not able to pinpoint and say who the exact customer was and whether adequate diligence was not followed at the time of onboarding the customer. Traditionally, this has been one of the largest penalty areas where, there have been huge penalties and fines levied by the regulator across the board on different operators and different companies. Quality of service monitoring becomes very, very important here. So the regulator has laid out detailed KPIs and parameters for ensuring adequate quality of service to different customers, whether it comes to voice usage or whether it comes to data usage, in terms of throughput, speed, those kind of parameter monitoring. So how all of this how these KPIs are computed. What's the source data that is used, whether it's correct, not correct, how it gets reported. Again, detailed set of analytics around all of those. Similarly, for every tower site that gets set up, there is an approval process that needs to happen. There are a huge number of towers that each of the telecom companies is churning out. Is basically, acquiring or on a monthly basis. So, how those approvals are managed, not managed, because, there's big risk here. Anytime that potentially a tower is set up without adequate approvals, potentially, the regulator can come and shut down that tower. And the moment a tower gets shut down, the entire set of customers in that region, service is impacted for those set of customers. So it's imperative that this is monitored very, very closely. And then obviously you have different HR compliances, you have different mobile money compliances, payment bank related compliances, contract labor compliances. Those become very, very important. So all of these can be configured and monitored through an analytics program. Now, similarly, network spends. I've spoken about network quality KPIs. So again, from the regulator, there are very stringent KPI parameters that each of the telecom operators need to meet. So again, how those are computed and reported, monitoring of that becomes very important. The whole congestion analysis. So how many calls is it that the network is not able to handle because of congestion. monitoring of that, becomes very important through analytics. Any kind of alarm management. So, infrastructure going down, towers going down, active network going down, the whole fiber incidents happening, any cuts in the fiber, and how those alarms are monitored, how those alarms are closed, are they adequately tracked, not tracked. These again become very, very important elements for an analytics monitoring standpoint. These are now standard industry agnostic functions. So finance, supply chain, marketing, human resources. I know all of us have been doing these analytics, different PO related analytics, different pricing related analytics, on finance, book closure, revenue assurance is very, very important. I have not detailed that in a slide because it's very, very niche. But there are very, very specific revenue assurance related analytics that are done. Every telecom setup has, a big revenue assurance team that is monitoring every single transaction, every single, event, whether, from a revenue loss perspective. And similarly, marketing spends, big marketing spends happening here. So how those spends are tracked, whether there's accountability for those spends or not. From a television advertisement, from a radio advertisement, from an out-of-door, advertisement, how monitoring of all of those spends are done, that becomes a very, very important piece here. Okay, so just to talk about some, some niche items, which cannot be accomplished through a plain vanilla standalone traditional analytics platform or an analytics program. I spoke about KYC and how that becomes very important for a telecom organization with the level of customers that are involved. So you can imagine, where you have 5 million to 10 million customers being acquired every month. As auditors, how do you provide assurance on this kind of a number? Manually, you are only able to validate, maybe 400, 500 customer acquisitions. And as a sample size, that becomes a very limited sample size to be able to offer, reasonable assurance. So unless, one is able to leverage on OCR capabilities, it's very difficult to be able to provide good level of assurance here. So using a good OCR program, one could read different ID documents like an Aadhaar card or a license or a passport for foreign customers, extract information out of that, and then match versus the information that is captured in the customer database. So that becomes very, very important. Now, one of the things that the regulation also mandates is facial matching. So every time that you go to acquire a SIM card, the retailer has to click a live photograph of the customer, and that photograph then has to be matched with a specimen photograph on the ID document before the SIM card actually gets activated. So again, how does one offer assurance on that? So unless you're not able to ride on a facial recognition technology, one will never be able to offer assurance on this. So using facial recognition technologies, one is able to take the live photograph that is captured as part of the acquisition and match it versus the specimen photograph on the ID and give a percentage match score and confirm whether this is matching or not matching. So just as a quick case study on how this has been done. So we are talking of an operator where more than 10 million documents have not been validated by a program that we ran. The entire customer base was covered. Almost some 5 million customers for which this validation was done, and seamlessly done in over a 3 to 4 month kind of a period. Where for every single customer, the ID document was put through a computer-based validation and OCR-based validation, and assurance was given on the entire customer base. Similarly, network OPEX spends, that becomes that's one of the biggest operational spend for any telecom organization. I spoke about the fact that there are agreements with different tower companies for billing of every single tower. There are about 60, 70 different parameters that get involved, and very, very difficult to be able to do this kind of analytics and validation, through through a traditional analytics approach. So again, one has got to be able to configure all of these the MSA parameters on as part of some kind of a master, and then you pass through data of different sites through that master, and then you are able to offer assurance. So just to give an example here again, validation that has been done for 100% of the sites that the telecom company is using for that they've leased from a particular tower organization, and how those were set up through a system and validated through a system, and now this is being used by them on a monthly basis for validation of monthly invoices that they pay to the tower company. Similarly, revenue assurance I spoke about. So again, very, very complex and niche area. So both on postpaid, prepaid data, there is a whole list of 100, 200 validations that a revenue assurance department monitors on an ongoing basis. So obviously, as part of audit validation, one would look at the configuration of different tariff components and try to give assurance there, but also you would have to replicate, billing for a certain sample size to be able to offer, assurance. Now, to do that, again, it is very, very difficult to do it through, a traditional analytics platform and the way that most analytics have been are typically done. So again, something that requires a very niche system. You need to be able to configure tariff plans. You need to be able to configure different discount packages. You need to be able to configure different components of database charging, and that's how then you would be able to really validate this. So again, an area that requires a niche connector or some niche program to be able to validate this, rather than a traditional analytics platform. Yeah. So I've tried to touch upon briefly different areas that are relevant. So what so typically, how an analytics program can be configured and can be set up. You can have a complete process repository, function by function. Every organization can be every telecom organization can be set up on a platform where you have different processes that are configured. So in the example on the screen that you're seeing here, customer service processes are listed, finance processes are listed, different network, etc. Different processes are configured. So the entire process repository of a telecom organization over a period of time can be built and created here. The risk control matrices can be configured and put up on the platform. And then for every control, you can sort of keep monitoring. So over a period of time, we have about 450 controls that are available as a pre-configured library, and about 650 checkpoints for those controls. And today, for different organizations, you can have one single dashboard that gives you the control posture for the entire telco. So all your 450 different controls. How many of those are passing the validation test? How many of those are not passing the failing the validation test? And you can then obviously drill down and go into different functions and individual processes, where the validation has failed. So just as a summary slide, I know most of these I've already spoken about. What are some of the imperatives for an effective analytics program for a telecom organization? Obviously, the ability to handle large volumes. So unless the platform that you're using or the mechanism that you're using for running analytics, unless it's able to handle large volumes, there's no way that this is going to be effective. The ability to offer seamlessness across the entire analytics value chain. There is no way that there can be manual interventions between collection of data, the execution of the analytics, the reporting, dashboarding, etc. visualization capability and the closed looping capability for each of these issues because of the number of items that are getting churned out. Unless one is able to integrate this with your regular reporting program, it's going to become very difficult to to be able to make sense of all the issues that get reported. Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully that was useful and was able to showcase the complexity of a telecom environment and how an effective telecom and analytics program needs to be set up for a telco. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Apurva. Such a wonderful presentation. So many takeaways, and you went at rapid fire speed. You literally showed us all the analytics which are required in a telecom company, but somebody from telecom company could just watch it and catch everything out. So but there was takeaways for all industries, because there are a lot of what it demonstrates is that you can build analytics around risk incidents and what is required either by regulation or otherwise, and you can slowly build a library of analytics, library of controls which can be monitored on a regular basis and used by organizations, by decision makers, by different stakeholders in the organization. Now, as you are speaking, there are a few questions which are coming to my mind. Maybe one or two I'll ask you questions. One is, you're working across telcos. I'm not asking you to divulge any confidential information, but every telco has regulatory requirements. Every telecommunication telco has a particular requirement for their own needs for decision making, and they all run analytics. They all run different solutions and analytics across. So what differentiates a good set of analytics being run compared to average analytics by a telco? How a superior analytics is demonstrated by any particular telco. So what goes into making it a superior analytics? What is the essence which makes it do better than others, sort of thing?
Yeah. So I think two or three things. So I spoke about initially about the spread of businesses that these telecom organizations are running today. So I think one key element is to be able to identify, to not spread very wide, to be able to really pick up and say that for each business or for each business vertical, these are important items that are really worthy of continuous monitoring. If you start doing too much, then obviously, there is so much that is going to come out and you won't be able to just manage all of that. So I think organizations that have identified for each vertical, this is the key things that need to be monitored. Those have obviously done well. Secondly, and most importantly, I think very, very important is to have, a program where you are able to integrate all of, the exceptions that the analytics program is turning into your mainstream reporting framework. So, otherwise, every month, if you're monitoring, let's say, 200, 300 controls, what's happening to the exceptions that are going to come out? No a process owner is going to respond to 200 exceptions every month, right? So how you integrate that into your mainstream reporting, when is it that you take those exceptions to the process owner? When is it that you ask for responses? And how then you integrate that into your quarterly reporting framework or half-yearly reporting framework, etc. I think that becomes a very, very important element here. So for me, those are maybe two or three things that that really differentiate the effectiveness of different analytic programs here.
Before I ask you another question, there's a question from a participant, Niranjan Satapathy. What process repository database was used in the specific telcos you handled? Was there a data lake and tech like, Hadoop being used considering the volume?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, two or three ways in which this has happened. Either one connects to source applications directly. So, your ERP applications like an SAP or an Oracle or a billing system, etc., etc. So, wherever that is possible, we try and do that. But like he's just asked, I think the best way to do it is, and to keep it simple, is to connect to a data lake, pick up, different reports and data points from the data lake directly. And then you build the analytics on top of it. So you can have like a small connector or a bot that would connect to, non-intrusive bot, obviously, that would connect to a data lake, pick up different reporting items from there, and then you build your analytics validations on top of it. And then obviously the reporting flows from there. So that's the ideal way of doing it. But sometimes, for example, a KYC validation, that documentation is very, very difficult to keep in a data lake. So, there are obviously standalone systems that maintain and manage that. For those kind of pieces, obviously, you will need to connect to those standalone applications.
Before I ask a question, again, Anil Golea, dear friend, is speaking from abroad and he's saying, great presentation, Apurva. Thank you. Could relate to my telecom experience. And some of these inputs can be applied to any industry, which I said, such a lot of inputs that you've given can be applied to any industry. One other question, any lay person today in the country, Apurva, you would know, is bothered about call drops. You mentioned about the network quality and KPI for call drop. So can you throw light? How is it calculated? Some light on how is it calculated by telco and how does the regulator wants it to be calculated? How does it work?
Yeah. So at every switch, there are different, just for a lay person to understand, there are switches that are installed across the country. That's the first point at which a call basically lands in a telecom setup. And every switch basically has records of whether the call could go through, call could not go through because of congestion, whether it could connect or not connect. So the reports that are available from the switches that will give you every single detail. So even if, for example, if you make a missed call, if we call and then we disconnect, even that record is available, on a switch. Anything that we do with our phones that utilizes the network in some way or the other is basically recorded by the switch. So those are the reports that are basically used, and then there is a complex formula that the regulator has prescribed. Basis that formula, this gets computed. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions from the participants, please? I don't find any other questions. Maybe we can just switch off this presentation, Apurva.
Sure.
Yeah. It was a wonderful presentation, Apurva. I have to thank you. This is a lot of knowledge base which you have shared, which can be useful to a lot of people, because across industries, you can use the, slides which you showed. You openly shared the, analytics in different areas, which can be looked upon. But the great learning, other than from telecommunication sector, the great learning for everyone is that you can actually build a lot of analytics. And then, as you rightly said, to have superior analytics, to have a superior outcome out of those analytics, you need to have an integrated system. You need to have integrated reporting, without which it will become too much to handle. So, that's the way forward. And that's where the gray cells of a human being would be required, to actually integrate that and say, what do you require to analyze? And that should be coming out clearly on a daily or a monthly or a fortnightly basis and so on. So,
I think maybe just one last thing, if I can add.
Please.
I think for a real mature organization, over an 18 to 24 month kind of a period, an end state of an analytics program that is led by, let's say, an internal audit function can be that, once this entire repository library of 200, 300, 400 controls has been created, this then almost becomes like a automated second layer of defense sitting on top of all the processes in an organization. And this then basically gets handed back to, let's say, the risk team or different business teams. And as audit now, instead of, auditing 400 or 500 controls, you simply come and audit the risk monitor or the control monitoring process in the organization, where, you go and look at whether all the alerts that are coming out from this analytics program, how they were handled, whether they were closed appropriately, not closed appropriately. So for a real mature organization, that's the end state of implementation of this kind of an analytics program.
Absolutely. I think you have hit the nail, absolutely. I think what Apurva said makes sense. Have a long-term goal in terms of, the key controls, how to monitor them over a period of time. And as he rightly said, an independent function like, internal audit, which understands the business as well as understands the controls, the processes. They can integrate all this, build it along with outside help or internal help, IT help in the company, and roll it out. And that's how stakeholders can keep using that data, the outcome of that analytics which is being there. And I think that the deviations will itself start coming down. Over a period of time, you will see that when it's highlighted, the deviations keep, the recurrence of deviations will go down. So I think that's the outcome which is required in automation. So thank you very much, Yatendra, for joining us. Apurva, you have done a great job, coming over here, sharing your time, valuable time, and sharing with us all these analytics which are used in the telecommunication sector. So on behalf of Sama Audit, I thank you. And I thank all the participants who have joined in today. And of course, this will be put up on the YouTube channel and Sama YouTube channel. And everybody can see it from tomorrow onwards. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Yeah.